Morning, Simi Valley. This is your coach, Anthony Thompson, and we're here in our first installment of Coffee with the Coach, and we're here at Core Health. So we have an interview, a great interview scheduled for you today with our Mayor Pro Tem Mike Judge on our inaugural session of Coffee with the Coach. So come and join me here at Core Health. All right. Thank you for having us. I want to introduce you guys to our owner of this establishment, Matt Duchin, here at Core Health, address 2824 Cochrane.
Right.
So, Matt, thank you for welcoming us here.
Thanks for coming.
Let me know what we can do and talk to me a little bit about Core Health
Absolutely.
and what the community needs to know about you.
Yeah, so here we make healthy meal smoothies and clean energy drinks, as well as acai bowls. Our smoothies are high in protein and fiber and vitamins, low in fat, sugar, and carbs. The clean energy drinks give you good natural energy, powerful antioxidants, and they help burn body fat, so you're going to have the energy without the crash.
Great.
And that's essentially what we do, and we've been serving Simi Valley for 13 years now.
That's great,
Yeah.
Matt. That's great. And
Yeah.
being a coach is very important. We have good energy and clean
right.
energy for our athletes,
Clean
right?
energy, right,
So they can
right.
perform in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
So, as you know, we're going to be interviewing our Mayor Pro Tem Mike Judge here today. Tell me a little bit about what is your understanding of a city, how we're doing as a city. What are some things as a business owner that, as I sit down and talk to Mike, that we can think about he's done well or the city's done well, and things that we could do a little different.
Well, what I can tell you is that the city has always been super helpful and supportive. Whenever I've had an issue or a question or anything,
Awesome.
I reach out, and Simi Valley is kind of the place where everyone's been supportive. Other than that, I don't know. I can't really think of anything else. Simi Valley is kind of the kind of place where you come, you make a group of friends, and they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and that's kind of what grew our business to start 13 years ago.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's very exciting.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, thanks again, Matt. And we're going to welcome Mike in. And thanks for your hospitality once again. Core Health here at 2824 Cochrane. Make sure you stop in and talk to Matt and tell him Anthony sent you. Simi Valley, thank you. And we want to welcome you here. Our first installment of Coffee with the Coach. I'm Coach Anthony Thompson, and I'm here today with my special guest, Mayor Pro Tem Mike Judge. So thank you for joining us, Mike.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's get right into it. So as you know, Mike, I'm new for city government as I'm running for city council. So talk to me about what drove you to get into politics. Why is this your path that you wanted to take?
Well, I got into it basically because of a couple of things. Back in the late 2005, 2008, the city went into a rough financial patch where they had to actually cut the pay of some of the city employees. So I had an employee group, the police department, ask me some questions on what could be done better, because at the time I was a police officer working in Los Angeles, and I was involved with our union over there and had been involved in some negotiations for our salaries over there. And I gave them my opinion, and I had just come up to a point in my career where I had basically what's called normal hours. I could take nights off, and I had weekends off and stuff. And I saw the problems they were having in the city, and I said, well, there's other ways to fix things. Instead of cutting people's pay, we could do other things. And nobody seemed to look into that, or didn't seem like they were anyways. The second reason was because talking to a lot of business owners in the town, they were complaining about the speed in which their business licenses and the permitting were being processed through the city. And I didn't understand that. I was like, why does it take so long? Why is it so difficult to get this done? So those have been the two things that made me want to get involved and run for office.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you wanted to be the change that you wanted to see.
Yes.
So that's awesome. It's similar to the reason that I'm doing this. So as a coach, my wins and losses are judged on a scoreboard, right? I can see if we're winning, we're behind, and things like this. As a city council member, how would you define, or how should people define success of a council member?
I would say if you're going to look what council members have done since they've been on the dais. By taking complaints from citizens, one of the big complaints we got early on, that I received early on, was we were in the middle of approving the waste, where we really didn't have a choice to approve it or not approve it, but it was mostly not to be in the way and not to be opposed to it.
Gotcha.
When the waste management was expanding the landfill.
Okay.
And the waste management, in my opinion, gave the city a lot of benefits from expanding that landfill, to the point where waste management pays for all our street sweepers in the city. They pay to clean up our freeway. And the biggest thing they got that I helped push through, and I was really adamant for, was our police training facility, which is on their property, which they gave to the city of Simi Valley to use as a training facility, did most of the grading and hard work on the site, all for free. And now Simi Valley has a state-of-the-art training facility for its police department, saving the city a couple $100,000 a year in overtime fees, fuel, and everything else. Because prior to that facility, we either had to go to the Sheriff's Academy in Ventura or in Camarillo, or to a private range out in Los Angeles. Now our police department doesn't have to go anywhere. They go right here, they train, they can do all their training there. It's just a huge benefit for our city. So those are the kind of things you want to look at. One of the other big things was, we had an RV ordinance in the city that was kind of, I'll say a nice word, convoluted. It didn't make any sense to me. One of the rules was, and maybe people with certain types of houses can understand this just like I did, you could only park your RV if you were parking it on your property on the side of the garage. Well, what if you didn't have space on the side of the garage for your RV, but you had space on the other side of your house? For some reason, you couldn't do it. And I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. So why don't we change the ordinance? It took 7 years to change that ordinance.
Oh, man.
And it finally got done. Now I think it's a much better fit for the city if you have an RV or something like that. You don't have to park it in your driveway. You can put it on your property where it fits, and it's out of sight. So I thought that was a big benefit for the city, and a lot of people in the city use that now that that law has been changed, or the code's been changed. So those are the kind of things you want to look at in your city council member, if they're responsive to your needs and they're able to get things done quickly.
Awesome. Yeah, because speed of getting a business up in operation it's twofold. It helps everyone. It helps the city to get money into the general fund as soon as possible, and it helps the business owner to get up and operational right away, so they can generate money for themselves and the business. So I know you're obviously running for mayor here in Simi Valley. So tell me, what differentiates yourself from other candidates that could be running for mayor currently?
Well, I'm the most experienced city council member on the council right now. I work in several different ways on the city council, as far as, like I talked about, taking citizen complaints, listening to people tell me their problems here in the city, and helping to get those solved. My next big thing is working, because our biggest problem here in Simi Valley, this is my opinion, and it's pretty well backed up, is the state of California. We are constantly fighting with the state of California, who is trying to tell us how to run our city, how to zone our city, how to make our city from Sacramento. It's ridiculous. They have no business doing that. The laws they've passed for their so-called housing crisis don't improve housing. What they do is they just give the developers more leeway to go around city ordinances and do things that cities don't want done. We try to keep our city pretty, good looking. We don't want stuff that's weird, that looks out of place. But if we're not allowed to tell these developers how to build the buildings they build, what good is having a city ordinance? If the state's just going to bypass you. So that's our biggest threat right now in Simi Valley, is just fighting Sacramento over our city's rights to exist the way we want to exist.
Gotcha. And one thing you talk about, Sacramento, today is obviously election day with Prop 50. So how about you break down to our listeners what voting yes for Prop 50 would change in the city of Simi Valley and our residents particularly?
Yes. Well, Prop 50, in my opinion, is just a political ploy. It's not important as far as your representation, because our state's representation won't change a whole lot. But what it does exactly for Simi Valley that's very bad, if it was to pass, is it takes Simi Valley out of Ventura County as far as representation. We will be put into Los Angeles County. So we will no longer be able to be homogeneously, right now, if we have an issue in East County, we can get Moore Park, Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks together and go talk to our congresswoman. And she, even though she's a Democrat, she's very responsive to needs of her constituents. She tries to get stuff done. Now, if we have a problem, if Prop 50 passes, I have to go over to Brad Sherman's office. I don't even know where that is. And I have to talk to this guy, and I have nobody to back me, because the city of Los Angeles really doesn't care about the city of Simi Valley.
True.
They're not going to get on my side. So I don't know what we're going to do as far as that stuff goes. I don't understand why this is a game that has to be played, and now it's being played weirdly, because usually it's a game that's played every 10 years, but now we're in the middle of a cycle and we're changing again. And the biggest thing people should understand that if Prop 50 passes, it's going to be negated tomorrow, because there are 3 other states in the union that are ready to redistrict their lines just to counter whatever California does. So it's really, this is all just a game, and I want to call it something else, but we're on camera, so I'm not going to call it that.
Well, I like that you're always a straight shooter, so that's one thing about it. Mike, I want to go into some budgeting questions, right? So with the expiration of the COVID-19 funds that we were getting, what type of impacts would that have on the city as far as services, pensions, things like that to Simi Valley?
The funds themselves won't have much impact at all, because most of the funds we received, we've already used. We used them for streets and roads, because during COVID there was I'm assuming, I don't know for sure why the government gave us the money. I'm assuming they expected a downturn in sales taxes and stuff like that because of the lockdowns, because of what they did to close everything down.
Right.
So we did receive funds from the federal government and state government. We used a lot of those funds to do repairs around the city that needed to be done. And we're using the rest of the money. Last night was a great example. We had a council meeting last night, and we used a lot of that money to support our free clinic and our Samaritan Center, just as a grant. So they got their money to do the things they do in the city. I think the free clinic, which serves everybody in Simi Valley regardless of your income, put a new HVAC system on their facility with it. So we do good things with that kind of money. I don't think we've ever used it, but I could be wrong. I don't think we've ever used it for salaries and pensions and things like that.
Okay.
Because I don't think we were allowed to do that.
Okay, all right. Now, as we go into, I want to go into a little bit of housing. You mentioned it earlier. How do you think we will be able to move forward as a city with preserving the look of Simi Valley, how beautiful it is, and people come out the valley to Simi Valley for how we look, with the increase of housings and the need to expand housing in Simi Valley?
Well, our housing is, well, let's start with our area. Our area is kind of finite. We're basically a 10 by 10 valley. So, and we're called, right now, we're built out. So there's really not too many places left in the city that are vacant with enough size to build apartment buildings. So what's going to happen from here on in is called infill. People will tear down homes or strip centers that aren't profitable and build apartments there. That is not the kind of look Simi Valley wants, the people in Simi Valley want, because Simi Valley is a bedroom community. It's a place where people want to go, have a safe place to live, hopefully raise their kids, do all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we don't want a massive influx of housing or people in the city, because we really can't handle it traffic-wise, other things like that. We have to have slow, smart growth, not the kind of nightmare reaction that Sacramento's been doing for the last 5 years with their scheme on telling cities how they can zone and everything like that.
Okay.
I think we've done a pretty good job. We've got a couple of apartment buildings that people didn't want, that got pushed through. They were turned down by the council twice, and then we lost in court, so it got built. And that's the way it goes in California.
Right.
But our council right now is a very good council, and we're trying to make sure that everything we do makes sense and keeps the city aesthetically pleasing, and also keeps our family-friendly orientation.
Right, yeah.
Simi Valley is like a city of 125,000 people, but you can go to the store and get 5 or 6 handshakes because people recognize you and you have a great time. That's our city. It's a big city with a small town feel.
Yep, I agree. And now I want to get more into economic development, which is near and dear to my heart. So tell me, Mike, what makes Simi Valley uniquely qualified for employers to bring their business to Simi Valley with the employee base we have and things like that? If I was a business owner, what would attract me and make me say, you know what, I'm going to go to Simi Valley?
There's a couple of things. Simi Valley has a very positive, like I said earlier, city council. If you're a business that wants to come to Simi Valley, all you've got to do is go to our website, see the emails for all the council members, shoot me an email, tell me what you want to do, I'll help you. I will talk to you. You'll be very welcomed in Simi Valley. We try to make sure that, businesses coming here, we try to cut the red tape, we try to make it as clean and quick as possible to get them in. And the second thing that attracts businesses here we still have the normal sales tax rate. We don't have an extra sales tax for anything. We go by the state rate, and that's it. And that is one of our biggest selling points right now. And we don't have any extra fees like Los Angeles. If you're trying to open a business in Los Angeles, they have different fees for your sewer, for your electricity, for everything else that just piles onto a new business.
Gotcha.
Where Simi Valley doesn't do that. I think the only thing we do with new businesses is a business license fee and maybe some permitting fees if they're trying to build out or build a building or something like that. So we keep it very reasonable here in Simi Valley, and we want to welcome every business that wants to come here. So if you know anybody that's trying to, send them my way. I'm more than willing to help.
Okay. All right. One of the things in private business that I'm used to, HR functions a little bit different, is you want to recruit, onboard, train, and retention. So you want to go through those 4 different things. So as far as a business, what is it that we should, or at Simi Valley, do we look at, how do we look at businesses when they're coming here to go out and actually recruit the different businesses? I know there's an event that many council members go to in Las Vegas where it's a lot of different enterprises there. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we go to that show, we used to go to it a lot. And yes, that's what we do there. We'd go and talk to businesses, places like fast food chains, other types of restaurant businesses, department stores. When our mall owners were out of state, now the town center's owners are in state. So we haven't gone in the last couple of years to the conference in Las Vegas, but that's what we used to do there. And every time we went, we also had long meetings with the mall owners because the town center guys were always trying to do something up there. And we're open to a lot of ideas, but they, like I said earlier, especially like we talked about with apartments, they have to fit the city. So we're not willing to get, but yeah, that is one of the big things. We also have an assistant city manager, Louis Garibay, who is our economic development guy, and he is out actively working to bring business to Simi Valley, I hope every day.
Right, okay. So tell me, how has Simi Valley positioned itself in respect to Thousand Oaks, Moore Park, which is a smaller city than ours, and Porter Ranch? We hear so many times there, people that live in Simi Valley, they prefer, for whatever reason, to shop outside of Simi Valley. Moore Park, with their high street developments, they're really starting to grow. Some of the false narratives that I see is that people say, oh, Simi Valley is not well because it's an outdoor mall and it's hot and it's windy. Porter Ranch has that in spades, but you can't find a parking space in Porter Ranch. So what is it that you think, or are we doing to move towards that direction and making the mall? Because that's the big nut, right? If we get that running, everything else will fall into place.
Right now, I can't talk too much about the town center because we are there's some negotiations going on over there with the owners about what their vision of the town center and the city's vision of the town center. When I say the city, I'm basically talking about the city council. And we listen to our constituents when it comes to what they want to see, what they want to have. We would love to have a thriving town center. We would love to have a mall that's busy, but malls across the country are fading away. And you hit it nail on the head. They built an outdoor mall in Simi Valley, a city that has some of the nastiest winds from September to January, and some of the hottest summers. I mean, we're not quite as hot as Woodland Hills, but it gets pretty warm out here in the summertime. So the town center is our focus right now, and it's one of the council's main focuses on bringing economic development to the city. And we have big plans. And we had good news on it Monday, and we'll hopefully have good news on it Friday because we're trying to get some stuff moving. And when I can talk more about that, you'll be the first one I talk to. But we are moving that forward. We're not sitting down, we're not ignoring it. We know we need more things in Simi Valley for people to do. Comparing us to Thousand Oaks and Moore Park's a great town that is just now, in my opinion, waking up. Because they've had High Street for a long time, and I always loved High Street because of its old town look and its stuff. Now they're getting on it and they're starting to develop it, and I think that's great. It's going to be great for them, and I wish them the best. The difference between Simi Valley and Thousand Oaks is Thousand Oaks has the 101 corridor going through it. And Thousand Oaks has Amgen, which is the largest civilian employer in the county right now. Simi Valley is a place where people go to go home. Thousand Oaks the 101 takes you all the way up and down the state, whereas the 118 drops you off in Simi Valley. So that's the biggest difference to our cities and why they have more traffic in their city than we do as far as business and money and stuff coming in. We do have a couple of companies that are up and comers here in Simi Valley, like Aero Environment. We're hoping to see them expand their campus, find them some other places to go. And we're always looking for other things to come to our city. And now with our new inclusion of the fiber optic network in the city, that should be a big draw for like tech companies and stuff like that to come here. So that's, we are aware of that, and we're pushing it through, every time we get a chance to talk to somebody that has something like that, we're trying to get them here.
That's awesome, Mike. As we close up the economic development section, one thing is back to the school board we talked about. How do we measure the success of economic development? Again, in private equity, what I always talk to my leaders about is that we get paid for results, not activity. So what is it that you've seen as far as economic development in the time that you've been on the city council to now, and how we've matured through our process and gotten better as a city?
Well, we usually go by our metrics are sales tax, because that's the big thing the city lives on is sales tax and property tax.
Yes.
We don't have any other special taxes that we burden the people with here in Simi Valley, because most of our city council, I think all of the city council actually, believes that Californians are taxed too much already. So, that being said, we judge our economic development progress by our sales tax intake.
Okay.
When it goes down, it hasn't been at a dip, but it's been level for about the last 3 years, where nothing changes. So it's kind of like living on Social Security. You've got two incomes: your property tax income, which comes in, twice a year, and your sales tax income, which comes in every month.
Okay.
That's what the city does to make money. And right now, economic development is slow. There's not a lot of people building anywhere in the state of California. So when we have upticks, that's when we grow. We get more money, we can pay our employees better and stuff like that. And that's, like I said about the town center, that's what we're trying to do right now, is build that up so that it's going and makes us more money.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay, now I want to go into infrastructure a little bit, right? So what are the big couple things in the next 2 to 5 years that you see as far as infrastructure and the changes that Simi Valley citizens could expect?
Well, unfortunately, you can expect a couple more apartment buildings because, like I said, it's very hard for a city anywhere in the state of California to stop that construction. So we're going to have more apartment buildings. The town center, hopefully, if everything goes well, will be changing dramatically in the next 5 years. Okay. That is one of our hopes and dreams. Those are probably the two biggest things. Everything else should remain about the same. We don't see a big uptick in our traffic, and I think we're chugging right along. It's still, like I said, a nice place to live.
Okay, awesome. Well, it's funny, we didn't talk about any of this, but I want to go into traffic a little bit.
Okay.
Because part of infrastructure. So what are the things that the city does to manage the flow of traffic? And with adding more homes, more apartments, more businesses, there's going to be more traffic. So how is it that, or what is the city doing to have the traffic flow a little more so it's not as much congestion? Or is there anything we're working on?
Well, there's not too much the city actually does except for maintaining the stoplights and stuff. And that's a sore subject right now, but right. I don't have a problem talking about it.
Let's do it.
Our stoplights are aging, and so when they age, they break. So a lot of people complain, and I don't blame them because it irritates me too when I'm driving and I see the flashing red light. Or sometimes because of Edison's, how do I say this? The PSPS, the public safety power shutoffs, they turn our lights completely off. So that's an issue. When our lights break, we have to order parts to get them fixed because we don't have a place or basically the financial means to store parts. We store like bulbs and stuff like that, but as far as the boxes that run the street lights and stuff, those parts are kind of specific to the manufacturer. So we have to order those when they break, and sometimes it takes 3 days, sometimes it takes 3 weeks. And it is irritating, and I understand that, and we're trying to rectify it by finding ways to, if not stockpile parts, to make sure that we partner with other cities that have parts that we can trade with and stuff like that. So I know that's irritating, but it happens in every city. It's just more noticeable in Simi Valley because everybody drives the street. I mean, if it happens in LA, it might happen on a street that nobody hardly uses.
Right, yeah.
Which does happen even though there's 4.5 million people over there.
Right.
But yeah, and our infrastructure is kept up by our staff. Our public works, in my opinion, does a great job on maintaining stuff and making sure that when things break, it gets fixed in a timely manner. The big deal was a couple of months ago, I think, or maybe 6 months ago, there was a light on Los Angeles Avenue, which is one of our busiest thoroughfares, as you know, that was out for like weeks. And because rats got into the wiring and chewed it all up. So the whole thing had to be replaced and redone, the whole system, the wiring system underneath the street. And that's why it took so long.
Okay. And it's funny because as we talked about public safety with Edison, a lot of the audience may or may not know that I lost my home and my in-laws' home in the Eaton fire. So I understand the dynamics that SoCal may have. But one other thing that your former council member and Mayor Keith Mashburn said is that you and he was working so hard with SoCal Edison and put pressure on them and coming up with, listen, you have to do something different. Our people can't continue to have their homes shut off because of a wind or medical devices and businesses losing it, which is an issue, obviously. But I was more concerned this year, earlier, at the Elks Lodge, where you're a member of, there was a meeting about fire with the fire chief from Ventura County and also SoCal Edison. They mentioned, and this is good for the audience to know, is that this year they said to expect 50% more power outages than we had last year. So think about this as a business. If we have a business that is that was out 20 days last year, you're going to be out 30 days this year. So you have a couple options: either get you some generators in place, a power wall, or something like that. But it's going to happen. So what would your advice be to both business owners as well as people that have medical devices at home that can't afford to have their power shut off?
Oh, my advice would be to go out and get some kind of a generator system for that. And Edison, if you go on their website, does have some kind of rebate program set up for people that need to have that done, because for their customers. I don't agree with the way Edison's doing their power shutoffs, and like you said, this year they said they're going to expand it, which is ridiculous because they could have the wind blowing over in Santa Clarita and they'll shut our power off, which makes absolutely no sense. Right. But the way Edison's grid is laid out, the grids are cut into different segments. So if they cut off something we might be attached to, like the energy circuit is one of the big ones. It goes all the way into Los Angeles and down into Santa Clarita. And when that circuit gets shut off, it shuts off most of our eastern part of our city, the Elks Lodge included. And the Elks Lodge last week lost one of their bingo nights, which makes that lodge almost $10,000 a night. Whoa. So they lost $10,000 in income because the power was shut off. Now the Elks Lodge is moving forward with a generator system so they can power the whole lodge when the power does go out. And the city's job, my job, is to make sure that people, when they do put in those generator systems, because they do have to get permits from the city, from the state, that the city expedites those permits. They get done quickly, so there's no more hassle for that person trying to do this. Because the last thing we want to do is hassle them with permits when they're trying to get this for their business to keep it up and running. But that's what I would suggest to all businesses and homeowners. If you don't have it already, get yourself a generator. I would suggest Harbor Freight's got good deals. Costco's got great deals on the electric generators that you can power with solar panels. And that's basically like a big backup battery. Gotcha. And that'll last you for a night if you need your medical equipment, or I think they last up to 36 hours. So that's one thing you can do. Second thing you can do is pressure Edison through your state representatives to move along their hardening process. They need to speed up their hardening process and get this done so that they can stop doing these power shutoffs.
Yes. And I know, as we mentioned, Keith is a very good friend of mine, and he talked about you and he was putting pressure as far as air switches and things like this, where you may have a large grid, but if you're able to cut it in smaller pieces or only segment smaller sections of turn off the power, it would be less inconvenience to our citizens.
Absolutely, and Edison has done some of that, but like I said, they just move really slow. I don't know if it's because they have lack of funds or they're just not listening to the people's concerns, But they have done it in a couple places, and you're right. We're pressuring them to make sure their grids are more specific to the area that needs to be cut off, instead of just blacking out, 17 blocks because, like I said, the wind's blowing in Santa Clarita. Yes. So we're doing that. Our city pressures them every time the power, they put out the notice, we're going to do a power shut off. Our city manager is usually on the phone within the hour saying, how long is it going to last? Where's it going to be? And is there any way you can make it shorter? And we had a person come to the city council meeting last night complaining about this, saying we never do anything. And I'm like, we've been to the CPUC.
I heard that.
And going to the CPUC is like taking your head and beating it on the wall. Nobody listens to you. Nobody cares. Yep. So the best way to do it is to pressure your state representatives, because they're the ones that have the power in Sacramento to actually make things happen.
Gotcha. Yeah, as we winding down the interview, the thing I always like to talk about in my campaign is social impact. So I want to end our interview with a couple of social impact things. So we all know about the instance on August 1st with Michael Robinson, what happened here at our Regal Town Center, and we know how the case is progressing right now. Before we get into that, I first want to say thank you so much for reaching out to me personally the day that we had a town hall meeting. The town hall meeting will start, I think, at 8:30. I got a text and a call from you. Unfortunately, I didn't answer the text. You called me right away. It was important to you. It says, Anthony, we're having this town hall. I think it'd be important for you to join and come in there. And afterwards, I heard you were the first to get there, the last to leave, taking all the tough questions and things like that. So, first of all, I want to thank you for that. The next question is, I know how the case is progressing. It's to the DA. The DA has made a ruling on it. As a former LAPD dealing with youth and child crimes and things like this, what is, without you being an attorney or anything like this, what is it that the community and the people involved or whatever have you should be expecting from this case?
Convictions. That's what we can expect. The crime was heinous. It should never have happened. It was, in my opinion, an aberration. Now, there's people in the town that will tell me that happens all the time, and I say, where are the police reports? Mm-hmm. This was something that was recorded, which I'm glad it was, because that makes it, anything like that that's recorded makes it easier to prosecute. Yes. And my goal is to always prosecute these things to the fullest extent of the law, and our DA has done that. Our police department did a great investigation. The DA didn't have to do a follow-up investigation. He took our investigation and ran with it. He got two of the we call them subjects because they're under the age of 18, so they're subjects, not suspects. Two of the subjects pled guilty to the hate crime part of the charges, just admitted to it. Mm-hmm. So that makes the DA's job a lot easier. There's going to be convictions on this. The problem with juvenile convictions is they don't always lead to time. They lead to, fines and stuff like that. Yes. Hopefully these will have some time attached to them. I don't even know, because I don't even know what they do with juveniles. I've been retired 5 years almost. Okay. So I don't even know what they do with juveniles anymore. They've closed most of the juvenile youth camps. I think Ventura County still has one. So hopefully these guys, get some punishment, right? Because it was wrong. I mean, just no other way to put it. Right. And yeah, the town hall meeting I thought was important for you because number one, I've been wanting you to run for office since you moved back to Simi Valley, right. And I think it's a great idea you're doing it. And I want everybody to know I'm supporting Anthony for his run for city council, and I want all of you to vote for him because I think this man right here will be a great addition to the city council. I'm looking to build a city council that is smart on business and very empathetic to the citizens' needs. We have to have a business savvy city council, to your points about growing the economic development, making the city more money, making us thrive so that we can do better things with our city. Right. So that's very important. And I don't know what else to say about that incident at the Regal. It should never have happened. All I'm telling citizens is if you see anything like that happening, please report it to the police department, file a police report, sign the police report, so the police can start investigating those things, and we don't want that going on in our city.
Okay, awesome. And we didn't expect this, but I want to thank you, Mike. This is my first official endorsement. You heard it here first. And I really appreciate your endorsement. I know what you mean to the city and how you have a passion about your city. The last question I'll have is, I would be remiss if I wasn't to bring this up, especially as a man of color. There was an issue with the Rodney King protest that we was having here in Simi Valley a couple of years ago. And there was a post that was made. I wasn't living here at the time, but there was a post that was made by yourself. And whether it was taken out of context or it was perceived incorrectly, I just want to give you an opportunity without it being written, because people think, the lawyer had written this for Mike, and it's not how he felt about it. It's not what he said, things like this. So I don't know if this is the first or if it happened before, but I just want you to be able to look into our cameras, talk to our citizens, and explain them once and for all, so we can put this to bed and work on city's business. But what happened, I don't want to take a scab off of that, that sore, but what exactly happened? What was the meaning behind it? And what would you like to say to our residents about it?
I have no problem. During the George Floyd, let's call them riots, because they turned into riots, I posted something on Facebook. Well, I shared something on Facebook that was already posted. It said, if you want to stop a riot, spray them down with sewage. And it had a picture of a farm truck spraying manure on a field or something like that. I thought it was a funny joke. I don't in any way condone rioting. That is not part of the constitutional protections you have for peaceful protesting. So as a police officer, anybody that riots, in my opinion, is a criminal, and criminals should be stopped. Like I said, it was a joke. I thought it was funny. People didn't think it was funny. We have difference of opinion. It wasn't meant for any other way. There was no racist intention involved. I don't consider myself racist at all.
No.
But when you say that, that's what they'll always say. That's what racists say. So it's really hard to defend something like that. I've never looked at anything through a color of lens. I mean, a lens of color. I look at everybody for what they are. You're either a good person or you're an a-hole. That's the two people that exist in this world. And as a police officer, it's pretty black and white to me, the way people are. And again, that's what happened. And a lot of the, let's call them professional activists, took it out of context, ran with it, did whatever they're going to do. And I can't help that. And you'll find out when you get elected that it's really hard. It's almost impossible to defend against other people lying about you.
Yes.
I've never had, like I said, any racist intentions in my life. When I was a police officer, everybody was treated the same way. There was no consideration given to race, creed, or color ever when I worked as a police officer. And I enforced that when I've trained hundreds of police officers. I was a training officer for almost 13 years.
Okay.
I trained hundreds of police officers, and I instilled that concept in them all the time. You're protecting the citizens of Los Angeles. Your job is to enforce the law regardless of any bias or anything else. Yeah. You enforce the law equally for everybody.
Yes, yes. Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks. First of all, I want to before I end this, thank you for you had so many things you could be doing today. And just for you to take the time out of your day to sit down with me, nobody, to talk about this city and work on a partnership together to make this city even better than what it is today for the youth and the citizens and the elders of our community. I really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate you being the first person here on this. Is there anything that people need to know about Mike that they don't know about Mike? I know a couple things that he's pretty funny. You guys don't know his humor, but he is a funny guy. He holds it in now, but he's funny. Where's that smile, Mike?
Yeah.
Where's that smile? There we go.
It hurts when I do that. I'm pretty much an open book. I'm a constitutional conservative. I've been that way my entire life. I born and raised here in Simi Valley, graduated from Simi Valley High School, went in the military, did my time in the active duty military and the National Guard. The only time I ever left the city was from the 1981 until 1994 when I moved back with my wife to raise my family here, is because I think if you're going to live in California, Southern California especially, this is the best place to live.
Yes.
And I don't like when people detract from my city because of past things that have happened here. I don't believe the city's that way anymore. It hasn't been that way for over 50 years. I think this is one of the best places to live, work, and play in the state of California right now. And I'm going to need people, when I get elected mayor, I'm going to need people like you to be there on the council with me to push a common sense agenda in this city to make sure that politics stay out and that all the activists don't sway the votes, because you have activists that try to sway you on the city council. Yes. When you got to remember this is a city of 125,000 people and you represent all of them, and the majority of them don't agree with the activists. Yes. Right or left. Yes. Right or left.
Yes. Yes. And that's the one thing that I know I said it was the last question, but as a coach I go. But one of the things that people don't understand is that me a Republican, you're a Republican, we run nonpartisan races because it's important for us that we have to represent the entire community, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party. So for people that don't understand that, what we're doing, and part of my campaign is unifying and uniting Simi Valley, and that's what we're trying to do as this city. When I coach a kid, I don't care if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, if you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, you have high economic income or low economic income. I coach kids because I want them to be better humans than when I got them. So that's, as a politician, as a representative of our city, that's what Mike and we agree, right? And that's how it should be, is that we may disagree, we may have differentiating opinions on things, but at the end of the day, if our North Star is to make Simi Valley a better city, we win as a community, and that's what it's about.
Yep.
Once again, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And I love you, brother.
Coach Thompson, leading the way, uniting Simi Valley every day, jobs and growth, building dreams, a brighter tomorrow's closer than it seems.